Which is lock the building down, and they opened the doors and they were bringing people in off the street.
And then the people started to run into the building. Smoke and ashes and dust and just shock on their face, and it's amazing. And people were running out of the building. And we were trying to tell people, don't run out because you don't know what's out there.
The heart of the world's financial center was a war zone. People fled, trading halted, payments froze.
Folks are trying to use their cell phones. We're using any means possible to try to communicate. A, know where our staff is and we're accounting for, and B, try to get into contact with the institutions.
Nationwide, planes were grounded, and the fear was that the checks they carried wouldn't clear.
The biggest challenge you have after something like this as a central bank is you want to prevent a massive human crisis from becoming an economic and financial one as well.
On the day of the attack, the Fed issued a simple press release, telling the world they were open and operating. They would keep money flowing.
What you're really trying to do is make sure that people can still live their lives. Cash is available. They can use checks. They can use debit cards. Small companies that are expecting payments for goods, they can reasonably expect those payments to go on.
One of the things that happened in the late afternoon on September 11th, as this mass exodus took place, they would go to ATM machines and take out cash.
We were asked by management to get well over $1 billion cash into the city from East Rutherford. Everything was closed, obviously, at that time, highways, bridges. So we made a caravan to bring us over the bridge, and then that money could be brought to a facility that could break it down and send it to all the ATMs and get done what needed to be done.
The after effects of the strike on the towers could have been so much worse. One of our base duties was to make sure there wasn't the destruction of confidence in this financial heart of the United States.
The Fed's role as a protector doesn't just kick in during a crisis. Every day, teams at processing centers across the country fend off attacks on the currency itself. Which one of these bills is fake? I can't tell, and chances are neither can you.
The counterfeit section was really an eye-opener. $300,000, and all of it phony.
All our buck has behind it is the belief that our government will make good on it.
This number could be used to warn banks and business houses.
When you start messing with that fundamental trust, the government gets mad.
The maximum penalty for passing one counterfeit note is 15 years imprisonment in a federal penitentiary and a $5,000 fine.
During the Civil War, more than a third of all currency in circulation was fake. So many state banks printed their own bills, counterfeits were hard to detect. Nonetheless, penalties were harsh, sometimes death by hanging. Today, the Fed, Treasury, Secret Service, and the BEP team up to embed U.S. currency with all kinds of tricks that make it tough to copy. It all begins with a single hand-etched plate. Master engraver Chris Madden has been at it for 28 years.
There are many innovations, as there has been throughout the history of banknote engraving, to help to deter counterfeiting.
It turns out Ben Franklin was one of the first American engravers to create designs to frustrate counterfeiters.
You pick a leaf off the ground and make an impression of that leaf in the printing press, and that would provide a very unique pattern, because each leaf kind of is unique unto itself, and that would help to deter counterfeiting.
And some of the tools have hardly changed since Ben's time.
You learn during the first years of your apprenticeship how to dress this very tip of the tool in such a way that it will cut V-shaped lines, like a plow going through a field, into this highly polished steel. Now we do that in reverse.
That's right, backwards. So when it prints, it looks normal. The depth of the cut is a key element in the intaglio printing process.
The V-shaped cut will translate the image, but also give you one of the sensory considerations that make intaglio so secure, and that is you get tactility. You feel that. And subconsciously, when I hand a bill at that point of exchange from myself to you, there's a subconscious thing that kicks in that says, well, that feels right.
Where the painstaking, quiet work of the engraver ends, the pressman's job begins.
This is Donovan. He runs the press. Hello, how are you?
Welcome to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, can you show me some money?
Yeah. Show me the money, right?
Show me the money, please.
I'll show you all the money you want to see over here.
I'll tell you right now, this is not a good job for me.
Next time we'll build these presses a little higher to accommodate
that would have been nice.
All right, so what we have here is the back printing process on the Super Orloff intaglio. And you're looking at ink in the engraving. So the sheet is going to come right on top of your head right here.
Yeah.
And it comes down and it goes between those two cylinders, the impression cylinder and the plate cylinder.
How much pressure ends up between those two plates?
Yes. On the back you'll get 40 to 50, on the face you get 50 to 60 tons of pressure, forcing the paper into these images of our currency and getting the ink to be embedded, force it into the paper itself. So it's not laying on the surface.
Right.
As a copy counterfeit note would look like.
Right. I feel like here comes the money.
So here comes the thunder. That thumping noise you're hearing is that pressure being applied.
The smell of the inks is strong, huh? I mean, it feels like they have a very powerful scent.
The BEP uses more than 4 types of ink that dry separately to prevent smudging. Some can shift color tone when seen from different angles. The paper is a combination of cotton and linen. The printer pounds words into it so small that they can only be seen under magnification.
What's a piece of microprinting, for instance?
You could look, and I'll point it out to you.
Wow. There's an extremely small line that says the United States of America, 20 USA, 20 USA. Wow.
Now you have just passed the test of the day.
That is an extremely small piece of writing right there.
There's been at least one counterfeit operation capable of producing this kind of detail. It's called the North Korean supernote, and you could have one in your pocket right now. Sophisticated presses like the intaglio at the BEP are used to protect our money. And they're not cheap. Over 7 million apiece. If your enemy has one, you could be in serious trouble.
North Korea is rumored to have bought exactly the same machine as this one. The Secret Service is trying to figure out how do they get it, and where are they getting the inks? The inks here are incredibly proprietary, so where are they buying them? How are they getting them? These are the big questions for keeping American currency secure.
A San Francisco Chinatown merchant is standing trial accused of passing counterfeit $100 bills. Bills printed so perfectly, they fooled most of the banks.
The government accused North Korea of making supernotes and passing them through an extensive international network of Asian organized crime.
The notes contain a minute flaw. The printing of the N is slightly off. Otherwise, it's nearly perfect. The Secret Service first identified supernotes in 1989, and they're believed to still be in circulation today. We may not be able to stop the North Koreans, but we can change the game. The 100 has been given a makeover. Once in 1996 using a larger portrait, and again in a newer version. This latest design has a bell in the inkwell that changes color, the gold 100, micro printing on Ben's collar, a security thread to Ben's left that lights up pink under ultraviolet light, and a 3D ribbon on the right that is actually woven into the paper, not printed. These new changes may foil the counterfeiters, but designers have yet to work out the kinks in production. So for now, the old Ben will have to do. Protecting the physical cash is one thing, but it's the Fed's cyber vault that is under constant siege. Electronic accounts, monetary debits and credits, all of that money is represented digitally. The Fed's firewalls block an estimated 300 million cyber attacks nationwide every day. But what would happen if the Fed had no role? And instead, electronic currency was self-regulated by the very computer that made it.
It turns out that there's a way to produce money without having to engrave it or print it. You can really just make it up out of nothing. That's the deal with an internet currency called Bitcoin.
Anyone can use it, but it's not like a payment system where you need a bank or a credit card. Its value is the code itself.
So thanks, as always, for joining me on the Bitcoin Show. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at
One major Bitcoin owner created a web series about it. They call him Mr. Bitcoin.
So tune in tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Hey, Bruce.
How's it going?
Hi, I'm Jake.
Hi, Jake. Great
Sorry,
to meet
I
you.
hope I didn't,
No. We just wrapped it up. Come on in, check it out. This is our studio where we tape the Bitcoin Show.
Oh, wow, I really
alpaca rug.
I like your alpaca rug. I was just going to say.
Digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins.
Bitcoins are basically just digital coins traded between computers. You can log on and mine for them like virtual gold, or buy them from another Bitcoin user. The writer of the program remains anonymous and created a finite amount. Like gold, the value changes daily. You can buy video games, gifts, books, computers, even alpaca socks.
You see down here at the bottom, they've got the Bitcoin Accepted Here logo.
Will people buy houses, boats with this? What's the limit?
There's no limit. You can send, a millionth of a penny or $1 million, the password to the
But there's also no Federal Reserve backing it up.
So you can just literally click.
It's been hacked and associated with illicit activities like drug deals.
Crimes are committed with cash. Most crimes are.
Yeah.
You can't really blame the green paper cash. I mean, Bitcoin's no different.
Just like cash. If you lose your Bitcoins, they are gone. Or if you forget the password to your account, like Stefan Thomas did. He got paid in Bitcoins when he created an advertisement for the electronic currency. And now it's untouchable.
But when we lost the main copy, we tried to get at the backups, and those didn't work.
So you're saying that you lost $140,000 worth of Bitcoins?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Is it the equivalent of having it in a safe deposit box and having lost the key?
It is the equivalent of shooting it into space. There's absolutely no way of retrieving it. But as it is, I can only look at it, I can go online and visit it. It's still there.
Wistfully thinking, oh, where is my goddamn password? That's a terrible story. I hate that story.
Unfortunately for Stefan, he can't just call up his bank to get his Bitcoins back. And that's a risk that I'm not willing to take. So for now, I'll stick with the good old US greenback. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about trust and the willingness to back up the value of what you call money. And the Fed is in charge of creating and managing that trust. Whether you make money, save money, or spend money, You are putting your trust in the Federal Reserve.